there, everybody. How are you today? Just miserable, right? Guess what this program is about? It's about happiness. It's about how you are going to help me be happy, and I'm going to help you be happy. And our guide is this poor old tattered book, published in 1945, in the horror of World War II, by Alfred Knopf Publishers. The author is Sheldon Cheney, and the name of the book is Men Who Have Walked with God. Now that's 60 years ago, 65 years ago. Today it would be people who have walked with God. And we're going to the chapter on Buddha, Buddha Gautama. Gautama was his family name. And he says, renunciation of the world. Let's start there for happiness, you and I. Is there anything that we can renounce? You know something? I got a big bag and I went to the drawers in the bureau, and the drawers in the bathroom, and the drawers in the kitchen, and the drawers in the office. Sounds like a big place, doesn't it? It's only one room. And I pulled out as much as I could and put it in that bag. And got a bag full for my friend Devin to take to the bread pantry, where they hand out free food, free clothing, free literature about the Bible, and household articles, kitchen articles. So that was the first step. And you know something? That felt so good. I never thought it would feel good. I thought I'd be sad and crying to lose all those things, but it felt good. So that's a little tiny bit of renouncing. Can you help me renounce more? Did you ever count your blessings? Your basic, fundamental blessings. They are the universe. That is God. 2, born. It's a blessing that you were born. 3, alive. 4, healthy. 5, food. Can you renounce any of those blessings? It would be pretty hard to do, wouldn't it? Clothing. A home. Freedom and independence. No catastrophes. Finances. Education, your career, your training, your talents, your spouse, your spouse's job, your family. We couldn't renounce any of those, could we? Not one. Can we? I don't think so. Renunciation of the world. But there's some things we can renounce. Ourselves, thinking about ourselves and talking about ourselves. Just listen to other people. Don't talk about yourself. Don't think about yourself. Can we do that, you and I? Well, I've done a little of it, and that feels good too. Renunciation of the world. And the regimen of saintly living. can live holy. We can live cleanly and purely and holy. Regimen of saintly living. And then spiritual search. Now these are the people who followed Buddha and gave Buddha everything they had. Now there is a class. There are other people who follow the Buddhist path without giving up their place in society. What is your place in society? Are you a teacher? Are you a laborer? Are you an office worker? Are you a stay-at-home mother? Are you a work-hard father in the office or something? Are you in the service? Military, that is. So without giving up your accustomed place in society, what is yours, Glendora? Television. And why did that screen go black? Okay, it's alright. Hold on, folks. I have to shut this off just as soon as it goes black. In fact, I'll shut it off right now. It's off. Mine is television. That program I was just making was for Prince George's County in Maryland. It's about their library system. Libraries are so wonderful. I never had a problem in my whole life, folks, that I couldn't solve by going to the library and reading up on it. Never. And then it's going to Washington, D.C., public access. And then it's going to give a courtesy copy to my niece, Nancy Erskine, who is the director of the Prince George's County, Maryland Library System at Bowie, Maryland. Bowie. I really should pronounce Bowie. And that's my accustomed place in society. And this is my first program on CAN TV, Chicago Access Network TV. And I'm hoping to get the Buddhist Center out there to bring you this message, because I know it will make you happy. And I need you to help me be happy. So without giving up their accustomed places in society, they follow the Buddhist path of enlightenment. And that's great. Enlightenment. That's the mystic experience. That's walking with God. Walking with the Absolute. The divine union. They follow the Buddhist path of enlightenment, controlling rather than extinguishing mortal desire. Mortal desire is, I want a car like Joni got. I want a diamond ring like Barbara. Or I want to eat all the time. or I want to go to movies all the time, or I want to watch television all the time, or I want to watch a computer all the time. Controlling the mortal desires, not extinguishing them. Ever mindful of the law of karma. Folks, there's no doubt about that, is there? Karma. You do something good, and something good will happen to you. And you do something bad, and it will come around and kick you in the gluteus maximus. So just always do good. Never do evil. And it's the same thing that Jesus Christ said in Matthew 7, verse 12. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Treat others as you would have them treat you. Do it, folks. We got to do it. No more evil. And you know something? No more evil in other ways. Think no evil. See no evil. Hear no evil. Do no evil. Remember the monkeys? See no evil. Hear no evil. Speak no evil. Add to it too. Do no evil and think no evil. Why? Because God is everything there is. The absolute is everything there is. And God is good. Hence there is no evil unless you allow it to come into your life. Unless you think it or see it or hear it or speak it or do it. There is no evil. So there's no evil. God is everything there is. What's left? Bliss. Happiness. The very thing that you and I are working on. So here are these other people without giving up their accustomed places in society and controlling mortal desires rather than extinguishing them, and following the law of karma and of the eightfold rules of noble conduct, and they're nice, the rules of noble conduct, right eating, right living, right thinking, right meditation, right rapture. But you want to know something about rules? When you and I have it in our heart, and our heart is filled with happiness and filled with God, you don't need rules. You don't have to remember rules. Because naturally, just naturally, you do everything right. It comes from the heart. You don't need rules. But until you get there, it's good to have rules. And then the last thing, and finding signs of the oneness and infinity of life in natural objects. And that is so true. God is everything. And the nice thing about Buddha was the compassionate contemplation of every living being, the happiness of every living being. He contemplated the happiness of every living being, and so do I. And that brings us up to something else. We've got to get rid of everything we did wrong in the past, and everything that everybody did wrong to us in the past. We got to say, I'm sorry I did it, it makes me feel awful, I wish I hadn't done it, I'll take the rap, I atone, I forgive everybody, I forgive myself. Be done with it. And that's the oneness. Excuse me, I have to let the kitty cat out. Kitty cat, you sure you want to go out? It's snowing. Okay. Don't you hurt anybody. Well, it isn't really snowing, it's all over. It's just a ground cover. But that's the oneness of God. The oneness of God. The oneness of you and myself. The oneness of you with God. The oneness of Glendora with God. That's the oneness. The oneness with that pussycat. And another one sitting there. And what did they say? Finding signs of the oneness and infinity of life in natural objects. Don't you love it? So you don't have to stop life and go off and be a Buddhist monk. You can if you want to, but you keep your accustomed place in society, and without extinguishing mortal desires, you control it. Covetousness, lust, ego. The big thing is ego. Stop thinking about yourself and talking about yourself. And you follow the law of karma. Good brings good, bad brings bad. And you follow the Eightfold Path. And also you go to what Christ said. The first commandment. Love the Lord your God with all your heart. And the second is like unto it what? Love your neighbor as yourself. So we're not going to give up our accustomed places in society, are we? We're going to live right. Other thing I want to talk to you about is, let's live in the present. If you live perfectly in the present, then the past is going to be perfect. So? And if you live perfectly in the present, the future is going to be perfect because you've had a perfect present. Isn't that nice? And the cat wants to come in now. All right, you were a good girl. You tried. You tried, and you came right back, and you didn't hurt anybody. So we live in the present. I'm not concerned about what happens when we die, or the afterlife. I think our nirvana and I think our bliss is here, now. We live every moment presently in bliss and happiness. And you are going to help me do that, and I'm going to help you do that. We're going to work it out together. And I'm just not going to think about what happens after you die. My concern is right now, here in the present. And what did we say? That if we live the present perfectly, we're going to have a perfect past and we're going to have a perfect future. Just concentrate right now on the present. And Buddha really taught me how to die. I'm not afraid to die. Buddha taught me how to do it when I read about how he died. And also Brother Lawrence, who was a monk in the 1600s in Paris, in the Carmelite order, how he died. So I know how to die. I'm really not afraid of it. Although I can't help thinking, someday we're going to fall apart, you and I. We're going to fall apart. But I'm glad it really isn't today. Is that a contradictory statement? Okay, we can think about it. All right, going on to what Buddha says. I reveal suffering and the extinction of suffering, quote unquote. Quote, suffering exists, and there is a cause of suffering. The cause of suffering can be removed, unquote. Quote, the cause of suffering can be removed and it would bring extinction of suffering. I reveal suffering, he said, and the cause of suffering. The cause of suffering can be removed and it extinguishes suffering. If you don't want, desire, material, you remove the cause of disappointment. It even goes deeper than that, more deeply than that. He wanted to get rid of sickness. He wanted to get rid of old age, aging, and he wanted to get rid of death, the suffering that those cause. By getting rid of the causes of those sufferings, he got peace. And, oh, get rid of himself. Oh, and that's coming up next. Would bring extinction of suffering by following the path that we just discussed earlier. The pilgrim, you and I, would reach extinction of sorrow with extinction of desire, lust, and egoism. That's what he taught. Isn't it nice? Don't you love it? You have helped me already. Have I helped you? I, you, first person, second person, third person. What does it matter? We're all one. All we've got to remember to do is happiness. Spread happiness. That's all we have to do. That's really all we have to think about. Get rid of ourselves and spread happiness. And we know that God is telling us to do that. God is so vast in time and so vast in space that our little minds can't take it all in, but we can understand God as happiness. We know what that is. We can feel it, we can see it, we can hear it, we can do it, we can think it. We know that. So that's all we have to do. Spread happiness, then God is happy with us, and then we have overflowing abundance, a profusion of happiness, and we've got enough to give quarts of it spilling over to everybody else. May the Lord bless you and keep you, and may His face shine upon you and give you peace. So be it.